welcome back to my channel. My name's Jenny and I'm here today to do the Vlogmas tag. This tag was created by Sean of Sean the Book Maniac and Britta Bowler from her self-named channel, and they came up with this tag as a way to encourage people to participate in Vlogmas even if you weren't doing a video every day, and I really enjoyed the prompts, so I thought I would join in. So the first prompt is V. The prompts I'll spell out the word Vlogmas. V is for voyage. A book, tell us about a book that involves travel. So for this one I picked The Red-Haired Girl from the Bog, The Landscape of Celtic Myth and Spirit by Patricia Monaghan. And ooh, it's a very reflective cover. So this book is, Patricia Monaghan is a scholar. She studies ancient religions in Ireland and Celtic mythology and how all of that intertwines in a modern day. And what she's doing here is she starts off the story talking about how she grew up in Alaska and her yearning to go and find her ancestors and the origin of her ancestors, and especially because she grew up surrounded by indigenous culture and understanding how it had its place in Alaskan landscape, and how she didn't feel that her culture belonged in Alaska the same way. And so it's very much a journey through a space, so traveling to Ireland, but also a journey through the psyche and trying to understand belonging and where your place is in the world. And the questions that she raises in this book actually were really inspiring to me and have helped me to kind of distill a lot of ideas of belonging and identity and home that I've also been thinking of and in my artwork. So this is kind of an important text for me along this journey of discovery that I'm making for myself. And I think if any of you are interested in traveling to Ireland, she does go into detail about different sacred sites, pools, very areas. She talks about petroglyphs and forgotten caves and sacred pools. So it's a really interesting book that covers a lot of different aspects of journey. L is for LGBTQ+, recommend a favorite book or author. And I am going to recommend The Paying Guest by Sarah Waters. This is the first time that I read Sarah Waters this year, and I really enjoy her writing. It's highly entertaining and also really delves into the inner lives in history of lesbian women, in this case for The Paying Guests. And so I thought it was an excellent read, and I'm going to read all of her books. Her work is so well researched, but so character driven, and I think that anyone that likes a character driven story would really appreciate Sarah's work. O is for an oldie but a goodie, a book you read a long time ago that holds a special place in your heart. And I'm going to do for that one The Snow Goose, a story by Paul Gallico. This was a book that my mom owned my whole life, and it was on the shelf, and I can't remember why she told me to read about it, but she gave it to me. It's very short. It's only about 57 pages, so just a little short story, a little novella. And this is about Dunkirk, and it's a perspective of the Battle of Dunkirk from the fishermen and the lay people who took their boats across the water to try to save the soldiers when they were being attacked. And it's also related to the idea of the snow goose leading them to help the soldiers. And so it's a beautiful little story, and I do want to read it again. And my mom actually just passed this book down onto my son, so I'm hoping that he will read it really soon as well. G is for gift. Share some good and bad anecdotes about giving and or receiving books as gifts. So I would just like to say that this book was actually given to my mom by my grandmother, and there's an inscription here. So January 18th, 1967, that's January 18th is my mom's birthday. And I have received many great books as gifts. I've given probably less. I give a lot of books to my mom, but the most memorable book giving experience for me was giving my sister Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. And the reason that I gave that to my sister was because we watched the movie together when we were young, and that movie is very important to both of us because we are obviously two sisters like Marianne and Eleanor, and one of us is sense, one of us is sensibility, and it's actually reversed in our cases. And so we kind of always joke, and it's just an inside kind of sister thing between us that we relate ourselves to the sisters. Funny enough, I have not even read Sense and Sensibility. She has read it because I gave it to her, but I still haven't read it myself, which is kind of bad, but I love the movie. I adore it. This book, The Diary of Anne Frank, was actually given to me as an award for excellence in language arts and projects in grade 6 when I was 12, and I didn't even remember that I had been given it as an award. So yeah, this is a great book. I remember reading this. It's a really important book to me in my reading evolution. So I also would like to reread this very soon. I received Wuthering Heights from a girlfriend in high school. This was my first exposure to the Brontes. So far, it's the only Bronte book I have read. And so this, I think, was a really important, lovely book, and it stayed in really great condition. And then I just love my copy of Little Women. And this was given to me by my grandmother. She did not write the year, but she wrote, "Jenny, I hope you enjoy this story as much as I did. Love, Gran." And I certainly think I do enjoy this story as much as she did. So another one that I really cherish and appreciate. M is for mass market paperback. Do you like them? Why or why not? And show us a couple from your collection and talk about a couple that you've read. So I wouldn't say they're my favorite form of book in any way. And that's really just about practicality. Obviously, when you're reading something, you like something that's easy to hold and easy to manage, and the font that doesn't bother your eyes. So, mass market paperbacks tend to have small font. They tend to be, difficult to maneuver through, and they don't tend to last and be as durable as other books. So, but, there's something about them. They are very cute in a way, or they feel very manageable somehow when you hold them. So Anne Frank is one that I have. I've actually got 2 copies of The Last of the Mohicans. This one was a gift to me as well. So I keep it really because of that, and also because it has Daniel Day-Lewis on the cover, and this is like one of my favorite movies that he's in, and so it's kind of a connection to the movie. I also really loved this movie a lot when I was younger. But this book, for instance, The Edible Woman by Margaret Atwood, I read this and it's falling apart. It's this is why mass market paperbacks are not that great, because they can literally fall apart and they just don't have that staying power. But I've read The Moons of Jupiter by Alice Munroe in paperback. The font in this one is extremely tiny. I don't remember being particularly upset about it at the time, but now I think if I was reading it, I don't think I'd be very happy. And I have a mass market paperback on my TBR for December, The Thorn Birds, and this is actually, I don't think this has been read. I think that when I bought this, it's pristine. The spine hasn't even been cracked, as you can see, so you know, even though it's definitely colored and worn with age, it was just the copy that they had at the secondhand bookstore, and I don't know, maybe now I wouldn't buy it, but I did at the time, and I will read this month. A is for all in the family. Tell us whether you came from a family of readers or not, and tell us about that. So I do come from a family of readers, if you can't already determine that by what I talked about earlier, in terms of my grandmother gifting my mother with books, and my grandmother gifting me with books. So my grandmother is 95 and she's still a reader. I actually just mailed Anne Patchett's The Dutch House to her as a Christmas present. And I grew up, when I would go to bed, or when I saw my mom in bed, she was reading before sleep. And that just ingrained into my mind as what you do before you fall asleep. And so I always have read before I go to sleep. She just was always a reader, and there was always books. And I actually even went over to very close friends of ours, and they had huge bookshelves full of books, and gave me full access to those shelves as well. So I did go to the library at school, but I don't think I got a lot of books out of the library when I was younger. I more read what was around me, and had books gifted to me. So I did grow up in a family of readers on that side. My father was not a huge reader of books when I was young. He read a lot of magazines, newspapers, those types of things. But now, in his older age, he has become obsessed with reading mystery books, and he is a voracious reader now. We actually went to a secondhand bookstore when my parents were visiting in November, and each of us, myself, my mother, and my father, each came up to the cash with a pile of books. And the lady at the cash obviously was very happy that we were buying books, but also was just thought it was so amazing to see, you know, a family buying their own books together and buying so many books. So my dad becoming a reader has been really great, because now it's much easier to find gifts for him. And it's a really great thing. My sister is a reader as well. I don't think she reads as much as she would like, because she's super busy. And my kids are both big readers. So that was a really important thing for me to pass on to my children, and it's a really important thing that was passed on to me. I love going to the library. It's one of my favorite places in the whole world, and it's just, I don't know who I would be if I wasn't a reader. So it was a big gift that I got, that I had a reading family. S is for Santa Claus. Tell us some books on your Christmas wish list. So I didn't ask for books specifically from anyone. So what I did instead was I picked 2 books that are on my Amazon wish list and that I could potentially get for Christmas if somebody picked them out and decided to give them to me. One of them is called Strapless by Deborah Davis. This is a book that I heard about on Olive from a Book Olive's channel, and this is it's called Strapless, John Singer Sargent and the Fall of Madame X. And this is about his portrait of Virginie Gautreau that he did, and the controversy around it, and everything that happened with that painting. So really interested to read that one. And another one on my list is Mother to Mother by Sindiwe Magona, and she is a South African writer. She explores in this book the view of apartheid through the eyes of a mother living in poverty and living through the oppression of apartheid. And the reason that I really wanted to put this on my list was because as part of my 1970s project, I am reading The Conservationist by Nadine Gordimer, or I will be. I have not read it yet. And she is also a South African writer, but a white South African writer. And so I thought it was important to kind of contrast her view of South Africa with a South African Black woman. So that is the Vlogmas tag. Thank you so much, Sean and Britta, for creating it and giving us Vlogmas people some content. And I will be back again with another video very soon.